European Jews, scarred by the Holocaust, sought refuge in their ancient homeland. Arab Jews, communities who had flourished in the Arab world, arrived in Israel, adding layers of complexity to the young nation's identity. Their story is one of resilience and adaptation in a land grappling with its own birth pangs. The creation of Israel in 1948 cast a long shadow over Jewish communities in the Arab world. Arab Jews, once integral members of their societies, found their worlds upended by political turmoil and rising nationalism. Upon arrival, many faced discrimination and prejudice from the very people they had hoped would welcome them. The experience of displacement left an indelible mark on the Arab-Jewish psyche. Arab Jews' identity is a vibrant mosaic of culture, language, and tradition. Spanning the Arab world, Jewish communities flourished, each bearing the unique imprint of their surroundings. Their experience was one of cultural fusion, a testament to coexistence and shared heritage. Understanding these nuances is crucial to grasping the complexities of Arab Jewish identity. The roots of Arab Jewish communities run deep, stretching back to antiquity. During the Golden Age of Islam, Jewish intellectuals flourished, contributing to advancements in science and philosophy. Despite hardships, Jewish communities persevered, adapting to changing political winds while clinging to their faith and traditions. The term Arab Jew speaks to a heritage deeply rooted in the Arab world. For centuries, Jews in Arab lands navigated the intersection of these identities. The arrival of Arab Jews in Israel challenged the prevailing narrative of Jewish identity. Their presence enriched Israeli society, adding layers of complexity and vibrancy. World War II unleashed a systematic campaign of persecution against Jews across Europe. Ghettos became prisons holding pens for those destined for concentration camps. Amidst this darkness, a desperate hope flickered: escape. For those fortunate enough to secure exit visas, survival hinged on fleeing the continent engulfed by hatred. The journey to safety was fraught with peril, a testament to the resilience of those who undertook it. Driven by the Zionist dream and the need for refuge, thousands made their way to Palestine. The story of this exodus is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure even in the face of unimaginable darkness. The influx of European Jews into Palestine had a profound impact on the region's balance of power. The creation of Israel in 1948 was a cataclysmic event for the Arab world. For Arab Jews, the birth of Israel presented a stark choice: remain or seek refuge in the newly established Jewish state. Their exodus marked a turning point in the history of the Middle East. The creation of Israel in 1948 sent shockwaves through the region. For Arab Jews, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Suspicions arose, whispers of divided loyalties poisoning coexistence. The very foundations of their existence began to crumble, leaving Arab Jews vulnerable and afraid. The years following Israel's independence witnessed a dramatic escalation in tensions. For Arab Jews caught in the crossfire, the consequences were devastating. Accused of harboring Zionist sympathies, they faced increasing suspicion and hostility. The Exodus marked a tragic chapter in the history of both the Arab world and the Jewish people. The journey to Israel was often arduous, a testament to the resilience of those who undertook it. Upon arrival, many found themselves living in makeshift camps, facing cultural differences and socio-economic disparities. The pain of displacement fueled a sense of longing for a past that could never be fully reclaimed. Yet amidst the hardship, They carried within them the seeds of resilience, determined to rebuild their lives. For many Arab Jews, arriving in Israel was bittersweet. They reached the Promised Land, a haven from persecution, yet they encountered a complex reality. Israel was foreign to their experiences. The dominant culture was Ashkenazi. Hebrew was now the language of everyday life. Foods, music, and customs were unfamiliar. They lived in overcrowded transit camps. The sense of displacement was profound. The Promised Land felt distant, alien, and unwelcoming. The cultural gap between the established Ashkenazi community and the newly arrived Arab Jews ran deep, often leading to misunderstandings and prejudices. The Ashkenazi, many of whom had endured the horrors of the Holocaust, carried with them their own traumas and a deep-seated suspicion of anything associated with the Arab world. They viewed the Mizrahi, a term encompassing Jews from the Middle East and North Africa, including Arab Jews, through the lens of stereotypes, often perceiving them as backward, uneducated, and culturally inferior. These biases permeated Israeli society, influencing everything from housing allocations to job opportunities. Arab Jews, accustomed to a more integrated society in their homelands, were unprepared for the discrimination they encountered. Many felt marginalized, their skills and experiences overlooked. The jobs available to them were often menial, reinforcing their lower socioeconomic status. The resentment simmered, fueled by a sense of injustice and a growing awareness of the disparities between their treatment and that of their European counterparts. The dream of a united Jewish homeland, a sanctuary from persecution, seemed to be slipping away, replaced by a new struggle for equality and recognition. This cultural clash, often unspoken but deeply felt, cast a long shadow over the early years of the Arab-Jewish experience in Israel. The discrimination experienced by Arab Jews was not limited to cultural prejudices. It manifested in tangible ways, shaping their access to resources and opportunities. The government, dominated by Ashkenazi leadership, implemented policies that, while perhaps not intentionally discriminatory, had a disproportionately negative impact on the Mizrahi population. Housing shortages, a pressing issue in the newly formed state, often resulted in Arab Jewish families being placed in underdeveloped peripheral towns far from the economic and cultural centers of the country. These towns, lacking adequate infrastructure and employment opportunities, became symbols of their marginalization, reinforcing the cycle of poverty. The education system, too, reflected the prevailing biases. Arab Jewish children, often arriving with limited Hebrew language skills, were placed in inferior schools, their cultural heritage largely ignored in the curriculum. This lack of educational opportunities further limited their prospects, perpetuating the social and economic disparities. The seeds of discontent sown in these early years of hardship and discrimination would eventually blossom into a powerful social and political movement. Arab Jews, determined to claim their rightful place in Israeli society, began to organize, demanding recognition, equality, and an end to the systemic biases that held them back. Their struggle, far from undermining the Zionist dream, would ultimately force Israel to confront its own internal divisions and strive for a more just and equitable society. For years, the frustrations of the Mizrahi community simmered beneath the surface of Israeli society. They had come to Israel seeking refuge and a homeland, only to find themselves relegated to the margins. The discrimination they faced fueled a growing sense of resentment and a yearning for recognition. The early stirrings of Mizrahi political activism emerged in the 1950s and 60s. One such movement was the Israeli Black Panthers, inspired by the African-American civil rights movement. Their passionate advocacy brought the plight of the Mizrahi community into the national spotlight. They demonstrated the power of collective action, raising one's voice against injustice. The 1970s marked a turning point in Israeli politics, a seismic shift that would forever alter the balance of power. The Labour Party faced a growing challenge from the Likud party. Led by Menachem Begin, Likud championed a more hawkish stance on security. Likud resonated deeply with the Mizrahi community. Begin understood the resentment of being overlooked. He promised to address socio-economic disparities. His message resonated with Mizrahi voters. The 1977 election was a watershed moment. Likud secured a victory, ending decades of Labour Party rule. This electoral earthquake shattered the existing political order. The rise of Likud was a symbolic triumph for the Mizrahi community. Section 3, Shas, championing a distinct identity. While Likud's rise provided a platform for Mizrahi grievances, a new political force emerged in the 1980s, one that sought to champion the unique identity and aspirations of Sephardic and Mizrahi Jews. Shas, an acronym for Shomrei Sfarad, or Guardians of Sepharad, burst onto the political scene, drawing its support primarily from ultra-Orthodox Sephardic and Mizrahi Jews. Founded by Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, a charismatic and deeply revered Torah scholar, Shas transcended traditional political divides. It appealed to a sense of religious and cultural pride, offering a haven for those who felt marginalized both by the secular Ashkenazi establishment and the less religiously observant Likud. Shas's platform focused on issues of social justice, religious education, and the preservation of Sephardic and Mizrahi traditions. It established a network of schools and yeshivas, providing religious education alongside secular studies, empowering a generation of Sephardic and Mizrahi Jews to embrace both their heritage and their faith. The party's success lay in its ability to mobilize a previously disenfranchised constituency, to give voice to those who felt alienated from the existing political establishment. Shas's emergence as a political force marked a turning point in Israeli society, highlighting the growing assertiveness of Sephardic and Mizrahi Jews and their determination to shape the future of the Jewish state. Section 1. Land and Identity, a complex interplay. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a Gordian knot of history, identity, and territorial claims. Israel's victory in the Six-Day War dramatically altered the political landscape. It also impacted the identity of Mizrahi Jews in Israel. The captured territories held deep religious and historical significance. This sentiment resonated strongly among some Mizrahi Jews. They saw the settlement movement as a connection to their heritage. The settlement enterprise was also driven by economic opportunities. Settling offered an escape from socio-economic hardships. Government incentives provided an economic lifeline. This confluence of factors drew many Mizrahi Israelis to the occupied territories. Their presence further entrenched the occupation and fueled the cycle of violence. Section 2. The Settlement Enterprise, a Mizrahi perspective. The decision to settle in the occupied territories was not a monolithic one within the Mizrahi community. While some embraced the settlement movement, seeing it as a fulfillment of Zionist aspirations and a means of achieving security, others viewed it with skepticism, even apprehension. The complexities of the conflict, the displacement of Palestinians, and the ethical dilemmas posed by the occupation weighed heavily on the minds of many. They recognized the pain and suffering endured by both sides, understanding that true peace could not be built upon the dispossession of others. Within the Mizrahi community, voices of dissent began to emerge, challenging the dominant narrative that equated settlement expansion with security and Jewish self-determination. These dissenting voices often drew inspiration from their own experiences of displacement and discrimination, Recognizing the shared humanity of both Israelis and Palestinians, they argued that true security lay not in walls and settlements, but in dialogue, reconciliation, and the pursuit of a just and lasting peace. These voices, though often marginalized within the broader Israeli political discourse, offered an alternative vision for the future, one based on coexistence rather than domination. Their struggle highlighted the diversity of views within the Mizrahi community, demonstrating that the complexities of the conflict defied easy answers or simplistic solutions. Section 3: Voices of Dissent and the Quest for Peace. The Mizrahi experience of displacement fostered empathy for the Palestinians. They understood the pain of losing one's home. This shared loss became a bridge of understanding. Mizrahi activists amplified voices seeking peace. They challenged simplistic narratives of the conflict. They shared Palestinian stories of dispossession and struggle. Their activism included protests, dialogues, and art. True peace had to be built from the ground up. Their efforts offered hope in a divided region. The story of Arab Jews in Israel is a testament to the complexities of identity and belonging. Uprooted from their ancestral homes, they navigated challenges in a land both familiar and foreign. Their arrival transformed Israeli society, adding cultural richness. The journey has been marked by struggle, early discrimination, and cultural clashes left deep wounds. The fight for equality continues to this day. The rise of Mizrahi political power reflects a community shaping its destiny. Bridges of understanding. The story of Arab Jews in Israel is a microcosm of the broader challenges facing the Middle East. It is a story of displacement and belonging, of identity and coexistence. The bridges of understanding being built within Israel between Mizrahi and Ashkenazi Jews, between Jews and Arabs, offer a glimmer of hope. The pursuit of peace, justice, and understanding must never cease.